Long ago, it was believed that tourism became a part of humanity's life only with the development of scientific and technological progress. Today, we can simply take a plane or a train, pack a backpack with the essentials, and embark on a journey to conquer the world. But just a few centuries ago, travel was not so easy. The tourism boom is attributed to the 19th century when new horizons and opportunities were opening up before all of humanity. It was a century of travel, an era of explorers and pioneers. Almost every aristocratic family of that time could afford to travel to a neighboring country for a couple of weeks, taking with them a decent amount of luggage. Huge bags followed those who wanted to see the world. Wealthy people hired special workers who packed all the necessary things for the journey into suitcases, hired separate personnel who organized and arranged this luggage so that it would not be damaged, and most importantly, not get wet. Isn't it strange to hear about it now? But one day everything changed. In 1858 in Paris, the first of its kind flat suitcase was presented called Trianon, and it was invented by the man whose name is now known to everyone. This is how the world first heard the name Louis Vuitton. The first Louis Vuitton workshop was opened in Paris in 1854. It was destined to become a symbol of the highest quality and luxury. But let's talk about everything in order. The founder of the French fashion house, Louis Vuitton, was born on August 4, 1821, in the small town of Lon-Le-Sonie in the south of France. He was destined to take a difficult path from an early age. Every day, the boy helped his father, working on the farm from early morning until late at night. There was not enough money for a normal life. He ate once a day. All his clothes were sewn and patched several times, and sometimes he had to sleep right at the workplace. At age 10, destiny presented him with a less than ideal surprise when his mother passed away from an unknown illness. Later on, his father also passed away, and life became anything but sweet and magical. At 13, in search of a better life, Louis Vuitton left his hometown and set out on foot, alone, towards Paris. He had to travel a daunting 470 kilometers into the unknown to reach the city where dreams come true. This little journey took the boy several years. Along the way, he stopped in small towns where he found work and sustenance. He polished shoes, helped unload goods, worked in fields, and sold flowers. Kind people helped him with lodging, fed him, and shared their life stories with him. It wasn't until Louis Vuitton was 16 that he finally made it to Paris. The first few weeks in the fashionable capital were a real ordeal for the young boy. He wandered the streets in search of work, slept wherever he could, and life was harsh for him until one day he saw a beautiful box with quality packaging inside a workshop window. Its shape, color, and curves attracted him so much that he even dared to enter to see all the beauty beyond the glass. The workshop was full of visitors. Louis immediately noticed that the workers were overwhelmed by the large influx of people. So, gathering his courage, he approached the workshop manager and offered his help. His persistence, determination, and above all, his willingness to work did not leave anyone indifferent. And the very next day, the boy became a full-fledged employee of Maître Maréchal's workshop, one of the successful producers of boxes, trunks, and packaging. In the Europe of the 19th century, the making of boxes and luggage packaging was a highly respectable and popular craft. It was thanks to his perseverance that Louis earned a reputation among wealthy Parisians as one of the best practitioners in this field. At the age of 33, already a coveted groom with a good income and status, he married 17-year-old Clémence Émilie Pariot. Together, after a year, they opened their own workshop in one of the industrial suburbs of Paris, Anet-sur-Seine, and in 1854 Louis opened his own workshop on Capucine Street near Vendôme Square. The sign at the main entrance read, "We reliably pack the most fragile items, specializing in packing fashion items." Most of his work in the early days consisted of individual orders. For example, in 1856, one of the workshop's orders was to make chests for transporting ponies for one of France's famous churches. But all of this did not entirely satisfy the man. Of course, business was booming, there were enough orders and money, but he was just one of hundreds of similar craftsmen. Louis was so good at what he did that he decided to do something that could make him famous and renowned. He thought for a long time, searched for options. What else could he come up with? After all, it seemed that everything had already been invented before him. But he had a brilliant idea, and later this idea became a reality. It was in 1858 that Louis Vuitton introduced to the world his revolutionary waterproof trunks, rectangular shapes with rounded lids, using canvas instead of leather for the lining. They became so successful that they defined the shape of travel bags for the next 70 years. Trianon, first in the world suitcase, with a flat lid that opened from the side. Before, suitcases only had a convex shape and opened from the top, so that during rainwater would not accumulate on the surface. Trianon was covered with waterproof fabric, and the flat shape made it much more compact, allowing suitcases to be stacked on top of each other. The success of the new model was also due to the fact that people began to travel actively by railroad. The convenience of the new accessory attracted the wealthiest audience. It was an incredible success, and Louis Vuitton received hundreds of orders. News about this miracle suitcase spread far beyond France, but as it often happens, a black line follows the white. Already then, Louis Vuitton faced a large-scale problem. His suitcases began to be actively counterfeited, but he decided that since he was the first to come up with it, his suitcases should be different from all others. And it is for this reason that in order to give his product individuality, a decision was made to develop an original pattern that would stand out against the dull and familiar shades of other suitcases and bags. To stand out from competitors, a brown-beige stripe appeared first, and then a chest print that even now, after many years, is associated only with this brand. From the first days, the clients of the store were well-off people who knew the value of quality and beauty. One of them was Napoleon III's wife, Eugenia. Thanks to her, the Louis Vuitton store attracted the attention of a large number of wealthy people in the country, thereby ensuring the success of his further career. From that moment, things rapidly went up. In 1867, Louis received a bronze medal at the International Exhibition in Paris for his contribution to society. After all, the whole world now traveled only with Louis's suitcases, but everything was not as magical and good as it seemed. In 1870, as a result of the Franco-Prussian War, the workshop was destroyed, and most of the equipment and tools were simply stolen. Our hero went through a difficult time as he dedicated all his strength to the development of this direction. He quickly took matters into his own hands and, in a short period of time, was able to restore production. The demand for his products was so high that in 1885, Vuitton opened his first store outside of France. The stores in London were particularly popular. After the boutique was opened on the banks of the foggy Albion in 1885, the inscription Marque L. Vuitton Déposé appeared on each product, guaranteeing 100% authenticity. Louis was prudent, and at that time it was difficult to counterfeit. From 1857 to 1936, Vuitton and his son Georges were responsible for the work of the fashion house, and in 1886 they jointly patented a spring lock, the design of which is still used today. All lock models were kept in workshops in case the owner needed another key. Until his death, Louis dedicated himself to his beloved work, designing and developing convenient handles for trunks, locks, and trying to change the corner inserts on suitcases, giving them a more elegant design. He had about 100 inventions and innovations, many of which we still use today without even realizing that they were invented 100 years ago by the son of a poor farmer. The great master died at the age of 70 and rightfully earned his title, after which everything passed into the hands of his son, Georges Vuitton. It was he who created the legendary monogram with flowers, diamonds, and the letters L5 in memory of his father. The first trunk with such an unusual design appeared as far back as 1897 and is still in use today. The son of the legendary founder set himself a global goal. He decided that he simply had to do everything to bring the brand to an international level, and he succeeded. Thanks to George, new stores were opened in New York, Buenos Aires, and he opened the largest and most famous store in Paris, located on the Champs-Élysées. In 1901, the steamer bag was released, which became a prototype for modern backpacks. In 1925, the Squire bag was created by order of Coco Chanel, but the most popular women's handbags, the Keepel model, appeared in 1930. Interestingly, they were originally designed as bags for carrying dirty laundry. This model remains one of the most popular even today. The leadership of the company passed into the hands of George's son, Gaston Louis Vuitton, grandson of Louis Vuitton. He transformed the brand and made adjustments to its design. Under his leadership, the legendary print became smaller and could be placed on all products. During World War II, Louis Vuitton supported contact with the fascists. The company prefers not to remember this historical period, but some facts from that time are still in the public domain. It is known that there was a sign with a fascist message at the entrance to the flagship boutique in Paris, saying Jews are not allowed to enter. Despite all these events, decades later, the brand remained a symbol of status, good taste, and impeccable quality. Louis's descendants were just as entrepreneurial and opened brand boutiques all over the world. The 1970s were a period of relaunch and rapid development for Louis Vuitton. The company grew from 2 exclusive stores and 11 million euros in sales revenue to 125 stores and 600 million euros in sales by 1989. In 1987, Louis Vuitton merged with another luxury and major brand, Moet Hennessy, forming a holding company called LVMH. Today, he owns more than 70 brands such as Christian Dior, Hennessy, Givenchy, Kenzo, and so on. Louis Vuitton bags and suitcases are popular among many world-famous personalities, such as Princess Diana, Audrey Hepburn, Angelina Jolie, and Kim Kardashian. It is amazing that the technology for making suitcases has not changed since the first workshop. The suitcase body is still made of poplar, and the corner protection elements and reliable locks have been preserved. It is also worth noting that the company offers a lifetime guarantee for all products, and in case of wear and tear, scratches, or accidental damage, they can be restored by special repair services. In other words, you are practically buying a suitcase for life. In 1989, control of the company was taken by one of its major shareholders, French billionaire Bernard Arnault. And in 1997, the brand's creative director became Marc Jacobs. Thanks to him, the company reached a new level. He introduced the model of rough men's boots and light silk dresses for the first time. Under his leadership, the brand released collections of men's and women's clothing and shoes, exclusive accessories and jewelry. Each new show is a spectacle, where models ride on carousels, come out of elevators, and descend on escalators. Marc worked for the company for a whole 16 years. In November 2013, young Nicolas Ghesquière, who previously worked with Jean-Paul Gaultier and took the Balenciaga brand to a new level, became the head of the entire women's clothing line. The first collection that Nicolas released while working at Louis Vuitton was hailed by the press as a triumph. His new perspective on the brand's aesthetics and inspiration from the 60s and 70s radically changed the company's concept. Today, this luxurious house of fashion has its own signature stores in 53 countries around the world. It is known that, according to the company's tradition, all unsold bags are returned to Paris, where they are burned. This is done to avoid counterfeits and to remain the only brand in the world responsible for its quality and originality. In 2016, many Louis Vuitton boutiques introduced a collection of fragrances for women, composed by Jacques Cavalier, and in 2018, a toilet water for men was released. Since the summer of 2019, the company has been producing a unisex perfume that immediately conquers the hearts of all lovers of this brand. Louis Vuitton bags are considered the most expensive in the world, ranging in price from $5,000 to $55,000. Louis Vuitton also has contraceptives available, with each piece costing $65. Bags, clothing, and accessories that Louis Vuitton never sells wholesale or at a discount represent the perfect combination of classic and modern. Louis Vuitton was the first brand to use celebrities, singers, and actors as models in their advertisements, and even Mikhail Gorbachev was featured in one of their ads. The net worth of Louis Vuitton's owner, Bernard Arnault, was estimated at $102 billion in 2017, putting him among the top 10 richest people in the world. The most famous scandal that led to a court case was against Britney Spears, Sony BMG, and MTV Online. The singer was found guilty of violating the law on trademark forgery in the Do Something music video, which featured a control board covered in pink material with the Louis Vuitton symbol and was broadcast by Sony BMG and MTV Online. They had to pay the brand $80,000 for airing the clip. Another interesting fact is that in 2014, a special individual order was made for the prima ballerina of the Mariinsky Theater, Diana Vishneva. 6 packs and 18 pairs of ballet shoes, as well as the ballerina's accessories, were placed in a suitcase. In 2019, the brand's best craftsman created a chest to transport the World Cup trophy for soccer. The 6-kilogram gold trophy, decorated with malachite, travels around the world in a safe box with the logo of this brand. It's worth noting that the French fashion house can easily be recognized not only by its unique print and monogram, but also by the amazing quality of its products. Boutiques opened in many countries bring the brand great profits annually, and status as one of the best and most successful in the world. By the way, their travel bags and suitcases still have huge success and are sold out instantly, and the slogan, "Every suitcase should combine high mobility and lightness," remains relevant to this day. Friends, have you ever owned anything from this brand? Be sure to write in the comments. Well, that's all for today. Rate the video. Goodbye.